the idea is, who are you becoming? What's your intention? Where do you want to be this time next year? Because I believe that our life experience it's all about choice. It's about owning up and recognizing that we're creating everything that we're experiencing.
Debz is a stressologist. She will stretch your mindset to think bigger than you've ever thought before, with follow-through techniques that are realistic and achievable to blow any fear out of your mind. Moira is a mindset cultivator. She will help you align your personal trinity of self-trust, inner awareness, and self-confidence so that you discover and share your unique gifts and purpose. Together, their goal with these conversations is to share how our inclinations do not always work in our best interest and to provide the knowledge to leverage the gifts that already exist within each one of us. Their desire is to help you learn how to access the habits and behaviors that will lead to positive change and your best quality of life. Welcome to your deliciously motivated mindset.
Hey, welcome Moira, welcome listeners.
Welcome. Debz told me I had to do some music.
That's usually Deborah doing the music. That's super exciting. I love how you bring your tunes in. We're very different with our tunes. And the listeners are going, yes, you both are very different with your music.
Very different beings here.
Yeah, definitely. Because you sound different to me. That must be it.
Must be.
Let's see. Welcome everybody. So today's I think we say this every time, and we probably say that. We say this every time. It's a great one today, especially after our chit chat that we had beforehand. But first, so you just have to wait a little bit longer, listeners, before we tell you exactly what we're actually talking about, which actually isn't really the purpose, because you're going to see what it says in our social media advertising anyway, what we're talking about. I just realized that.
You already know.
I clearly had that. So you know what we're talking about. But first, before I announce what we're talking about, we are going to rate ourselves. And when I say rate ourselves, R-A-T-E ourselves, we're talking about what level you are emotionally and physically drained, aligned, on track, alive, got a spark within you. So let's think about where we're at. So 10, my accent,
10.
9, 10, the one between 9 and 11 is when you're in a funk and you are down in the mud, can't get out, struggling, and all that's out is your nose and you're just breathing to get through. Would be a 10 in my mind. Would that be right, Moira?
Feeling totally stuck.
Yeah. Completely stuck, yeah. And 0 or 1 is where you feel, I was going to say enlightened, where you feel neutral. You actually feel a sense of calm, not worried about the storm coming, not worried about anything happening. You just actually feel like, wow, I feel not, and it's not a happy place. It's actually just, I feel complete, like a warmth within you that it's okay. And that would be a 0 or a 1 or where you're at. So in that explanation, I'm sure you understand where you go. So where would you be, listeners? Let us know. But Moira, you first.
That's why you like announcing it, because you like me to go.
You. Where are you on the scale of
0 to 10?
That? Yeah.
So I'm going to put myself at a 3 today. Because we've had a great conversation. We always do this before we start recording. But and I think we've had this conversation before. I am likely not to say I'm at a 0, because to me, I've always got something to do. Something that I could do a little bit better, or, although, yeah, I'm just going to go with a 3.
Okay. And I get that. So prior to getting on the call, I had a couple of things that I was hanging on to from last week, and I'd offloaded them this week. So just talking to, Maura and I have chatted for 90 minutes before we even got on the podcast, just so you know, people. So prior to that is a different number from my 90 minutes with Moira privately. And then now where I'm at. So I'm actually going to say a 2.5 because I feel really in alignment with, and I'm going to say the word excited, but excited about our podcast, where we're going, what we're doing, also in my life with my business, talking to Moira, just realizing how amazing how we actually randomly come together, but we didn't randomly come together. So I'm going to say a 2.5.
Awesome.
That was a big, just say 2.5, Deborah. Okay. So I'm at 2.5. Okay.
You like to set the stage. That's okay.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. To talk like the sound of my own voice, like my daughter says. So the music. So today our topic is letting go of what no longer serves us. Mm-hmm. And this, I'm going to say it's a goodie. I just think I'm a sucker for all our little topics, but this I think will be a great one because, as we know, Moira is the queen bee of letting go.
All about the letting go.
All about the letting go. And to have this of what no longer serves us, then there's Deborah who goes, so no longer serves us. There's going to be another little spin on that. So that's what we're talking about today. So grab your pen and paper, your biro, your pencil.
Your writing instrument.
Oh, yeah, your writing instrument and paper. And let's hop into it. So Moira, you kick off. Go.
Go. So yeah, like you just said, I am so invested and into the whole letting go part. And interesting, listeners, before we hit record today, Deb brought up a really good point about when we get into this space of letting go of what no longer serves us. It's like, how do you do that? What's the step before the letting go? The key piece of this, and this is actually part of my own letting go formula that I work with clients on, the very first piece is awareness. And so this is all about, how a habit may serve you at a specific stage of your life, but now it's not. So I'm thinking to myself, let's just take smoking for an example. Have you ever smoked, Deb?
Shh, don't tell Mum.
Oh, okay.
Yep. Yes, I have. And I used to smoke menthol. I'll just say this one because I liked menthol because it was different.
Right.
And no one liked menthol. So if anyone wanted to borrow a cigarette when I was younger, I would say, I've got menthol. So even when I think about smoking, I go back to, you were always different. You were always different. You were like, oh, no one smokes menthol. I'll smoke that one. People want to borrow one. No, they don't want to borrow one. So I'm like, it's all mine. So yes, clearly.
That's
you're
awesome.
Right down to when I was younger. Yes. So yes, I did go back away from that. Yes, I did. Yes.
So me too. I smoked for a really long time. But that was what popped into my mind as an example of what I'm trying to say. So initially when I started smoking, it was to be like the cool kids and to fit in. But I think of our mind, because I remember a time where I'd quit for almost 2 years and then I started again. And I remember that it was a pattern or a habit to de-stress me because it relaxed me. So there's a habit or a pattern that I took in for a specific phase. I was going through a really, really stressful time. I was going to say there's lots of depression and anxiety and stuff that I was working through. And so in essence, that habit helped me. Of course, we all know that smoking is bad for our physical body. And so obviously I don't smoke and I haven't done for almost 17 years, I think, since I gave up. But does that make sense? So it's like having the awareness of we all have mindset, ideas, thought, patterns, beliefs, addictions, which we brought in and set up for ourselves to keep us safe, or to keep us calm, or to keep us in flow in some way or another.
Or your protection blanket.
Yes, your protection blanket, or something that helped you. I remember one of the things about smoking was I was diagnosed with fibromyalgia and chronic fatigue. And it was after quitting smoking that I realized that was masking it. And so it was by like the fact that I smoked kept me awake, as opposed to really sitting into how exhausted I really was. So the key piece here was to have the awareness of all of the things I'm doing. You be aware, and then you accept, and then you start saying, what was part of that old version of me, and what is part of the version I want to step into, the version I'm becoming.
It's really interesting. You know, you say that word awareness. I'm sure we use that word every single podcast.
I think you're right. Awareness and acknowledgement. We use both of them, don't we?
Yeah, I honestly, when you said that, I'm like, this is the same thing we talk about. It's
yes.
like, it's the same thing every time. And it's only till you get that smack that you become aware, and it depends what level of smack you're going to get. But it is the awareness, and then you choose.
That's exactly it.
And whether you choose to do something about it or just bury it. And you know, I've worked with a lot of people, and smoking's a great one to example. I've worked with a lot of people about smoking, or addictions, or you know that, and every inhale they go, they say to themselves, this is bad, but they can't get out of it. So they've got that awareness there, but they haven't had that level of pain to do something about it. So it's just, you know, they're programming their brain every inhale anyway. You know. But it's the awareness just seems to be such a big thing. And the letting go, you must be aware clearly before you realize what no longer serves us. And then, you know, letting go of what no longer serves us, there's two sections. There's the letting go, the awareness of the letting go, and then there's the other section of what no longer serves us. And so there's definitely two categories of that awareness.
Exactly.
In saying that.
Exactly. So there's something that this is something that I do a lot with my clients. I like what you just said about because this actually happens with food addictions as well. This is bad for me. This is bad for me. You know, every puff, this is bad for me. Or every mouthful of the chocolate, this is poison. This is bad for me. So instead of allowing that pattern to continue, I actually like to ask people, how many times do you need to do that before you actually start changing, or you choose something different?
Oh, well, when the pain exceeds the pleasure, and when the pain exceeds the pleasure, then you actually do something about it. That's the way but then there's that level of what level of pain do you need to go through?
Exactly. And because everybody's is different.
And that's the other part of, I think, what no longer serves us. Like, what level of pain do you need to get to, or what no longer serves us each day? With the what no longer serves us, you know, today you can make a decision that, okay, I'm going to stop smoking. I'm just going to go cold turkey. I'm going to stop smoking. And then tonight you get some news that kicks you in the shins. and in the stomach, and you go down, and you're like, and what's the first thing you do is you reach out for that cigarette, because that's your nurturing, your comfort, your whatever it is. And that all of a sudden, even though that morning you're going, it no longer serves us, I don't want to do it, I'm done with this and this, and you've got a list of things, but that's the first thing that you go, that's your home comfort, your blanket, so then you go back to it, and then you'll just reprogram your brain that I'm bad, I'm doing this, I shouldn't be doing this, So it's the whole being aware of what no longer serves us, and then being aware to, am I really truly ready today? And if something else comes in, is that going to divert me to letting go? And then how do I let go?
Perfectly said. I'm glad you put that out that way. Because, so, you know, when I'm working with people with addictions, if they are ready to start saying, okay, this is it, I'm going to quit the smoking, or I'm going to quit the overeating, or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Before that, I want to have a conversation with you to say, what is it giving you? What was that? Right. So you just said that about it's your comfort. It was giving you your comfort, or it was your de-stressor, or it was your calming agent, whatever it was for you. So then the next piece that I get you to do is, what non-cigarette or non-food replacement can you put in place for you right now? And so this is because we know. I'm
grinning so much because this is exactly what I do. I've never even asked you, but this is so exactly what I do. This is exactly it. This is perfect.
But of course.
I go, no, and then I'm just going, why did you even think that she would have something different? Like, yeah.
But that, so there's right there is what makes letting go easier. Yeah. Because it's not about the going cold turkey or white knuckling it or how, because to your point, stuff happens. You can get triggered. You can get kicked in the shins or the gut.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Well, and that's it. So I do the same, and I go, what pleasure are you getting out of it? Mm-hmm. And then what's going to replace that pleasure?
Right.
And that's it. So yeah, I just use the words pleasures, but that's exactly it. And then you just go, okay, so if it is that blanket, if you need that nurturing, if you need that time out, go find that somewhere, you know. And we're talking about addictions, but you know, and that's exactly it. So even the smoking, the eating, the exercising, you know, I remember someone saying to me many years ago, oh, you're addicted to work. And I was like, no, I'm not. And I instantly, someone tell me I've got an addiction, you know, hackles. And then I actually went, yeah, you're right, because if I was to choose, I would go into the office till 11 o'clock at night rather than lying on the couch watching TV till 11 o'clock at night.
Right.
And so when I realized that, I went, okay, so what pleasures are you getting out of this? What, you know, and then the funny thing is I'm going, actually, do I really want to lie on the couch and watch mind-boggling TV because someone said you're addicted to work? So then I was like, you know, instantly when someone tells me I'm that, and I'm like, I am not. And then I started to unpack it. But that's exactly it. So do I actually really want to lie on the couch and watch mundane nighttime TV? No, I'd rather be in the office.
It's a waste of time.
Stimulating my mind or getting on something or doing something or whatever.
Being of service.
Exactly. So is that an addiction to my business? It could be, but it's also an addiction to myself, to nurture myself and do what's best for me, what gives me the pleasure. Mm-hmm. So if reading a book at night over TV gives me pleasure, then so be it. You know, instead of doing that, or being in the office, it's just because I said I'm in the office, so they just naturally think I'm doing whatever.
So this is an interesting piece to bring into a conversation about letting go, because right there it makes me feel like, oh, I would suggest you let go of judgments of other people. Because you know what I just really fell into and heard with what you just said? I don't see you as being addicted to work. I see you as choosing to be of service, choosing to do things that light you up, as opposed to the person who goes and lies on the TV for hours, lies on the couch to watch the TV. That's disempowering. That's mind numbing. That's not really serving or uplifting or helping in any way, right?
Oh, I absolutely agree. And I think the thing for me is I didn't realize it until it's that acknowledge and be aware and open your eyes and see stuff that you actually then go, okay, I'm going to do this. Yeah. But prior to that, I wasn't seeing that. Yeah.
And so one more piece that I wanted to say about this idea of the recognizing that something that's in current time not healthy, not part of who you're becoming. One of the best ways I know how to help people, and for myself too, to release it, to really let it go, is to have gratitude for it. It's to have gratitude to say, I'm so grateful that that habit or that choice or that pattern helped me then. Right? Because when we shame ourselves about it, that makes it hold on longer. I believe, don't you?
It's heavy. It's so heavy in your mind that it can immobilize you, that you can't function. Right. Because if every inhale of your cigarette is saying, oh, this is not good for me, what do you think it's doing to your mind? Every inhale, instead of going, oh, as I breathe in, I breathe out, joy or something like, if you just reprogram your mind until, okay, I'm breathing this in, but I'm breathing it out quicker or whatever. I'm not going to try and say anything that's going to be, people are going to stick to it, but whatever serves you, but be true, be grateful for it, because it's there for that blanket. And my comfy blanket, I remember talking once about a comfy blanket, because I just go, I just want to hide under the blanket. And one day I reframed it that I just want to hide under the face cloth. So I'd moved from
I like that. Don't obliterate yourself.
Absolutely.
I like it.
So I've gone from that to something a little bit smaller, so it's not as overwhelming.
Yes.
But and that's it. So it's finding that pleasure and actually just going, okay, it's acceptable. And if I just need to, I encourage people to actually run away to the toilet and just hide in the toilet or the bathroom, for a couple of minutes if you need to get your space, because it's a place where people don't come in. Not necessarily, not often.
Not unless you have some kids around.
I'm just going to say, apart from children, and I have seen some funny videos on social media where kids have tried to get under, or even animals have tried to get under doors.
My cat would try and come in. She'll stick her paw under the door or something.
Actually would. She actually would. But that's a great place just to get away. Don't take your phone in there. Just escape. For a couple of minutes, and if that's what it means. When I was And
P.S. some really deep breaths. Remove yourself, like Deborah just suggested, and take some really deep breaths in through your nose, and then with your hand on your heart, and then out through your mouth. That can really be the game changer for this. Sorry, Deb, I didn't mean to.
Well, the hand on the heart, and just breathe, and just know you're alive and you've got yourself out of whatever you're in. When I was a young girl and had my daughter, 3 of my friends were smokers, and all 3 said to me, I wish you would smoke. You need to smoke. And I was why? And they said, because you don't sit down. And I know, being a single mother, I did move, but I'm not, even myself now, when I sit, if I sit and relax, I sit. That's me done. But if I'm still on alert and there's a lot of things going on, I struggle. I'm going to say I struggle. I don't think I struggle, but other people around me do. I don't. Letting go of what others think about me.
Yep, I think that's important.
But the 3 friends were saying it would be great for you to smoke, because you would actually have to stop. Like, you can't just keep going for a couple of hours and function. You actually have to stop for that cigarette. And I did like the idea of stopping, but then I'm like, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. So I chose to do my stopping was my toilet, and that was my, okay, I'm just going to go to the toilet for a couple of minutes. My daughter's fine. And I would just go into that, and I would just stop and breathe. And that's exactly it. I would just breathe. You'd be in a cooler room, it'd be different environment, and you just take a moment, and then you come out. And that was my cigarette smoke, as such.
That was what helped you just regroup, come truly present to yourself. And I think that's a really, really important part. And something else I wanted to bring into this too is this whole conversation about letting go what no longer serves us. So the idea is, who are you becoming? What's your intention? Where do you want to be this time next year? And this to me is a really important piece to bring into this, because maybe we needed to retitle this of letting go of what no longer serves who we're becoming. Or the next grandest version of who we are. Because I believe that our life experience is it's all about choice. It's about owning up and recognizing that we're creating everything that we're experiencing. And sometimes we experience limitation and stuckness and creating things that don't serve us. We have to sit there and experience them for long enough. That's what we talked about a moment ago. How many times do we have to do that before we go, oh, wait a minute, I'm creating this. I'm the author of this experience.
I'm the captain of my own ship.
Yeah, I'm the driver of this bus. So so to me, I think it's really important to also have, even if it's just a vision of the best version of you. What does that look like? Where are you? How do you dress? How do you speak? What kind of things do you do? That can in itself can help you then start looking at, do I have all the habits of a person in that role or in that space?
Yeah.
That can help you then, like you were saying. So this letting go piece is very much about, I'm aware. Maybe I'm aware that I'm playing small. Maybe I'm aware that I don't speak as highly of myself or the things that I do as I need to.
A quick wee message before we get back to this episode. You can get access to a special gift Moira and Debz have put together for you. Go to deliciously-motivated-mindset.com/gift. When you sign up, you'll receive instant access to an inner peace kit and the 30 Days of Wisdom program, both of which is intended to help you feel deliciously motivated right away. Go to deliciously-motivated-mindset.com/gift.
The thing about what no longer serves us, I think one of the, we talk about the acknowledgement, the awareness, that key is a key to a lot of things in life. Mm-hmm. But it's also beating yourself up. And this is the thing, is what no longer serves us. Like I talked about earlier, I talked about having that quitting cigarette in the morning, and then that night you get that whack, and then you need that cigarette, and that's when you beat yourself up again. Oh, I've just gone, I've spent 10 hours, no cigarettes, I've done so well, and now I'm back to scratch one, right down to the level of wherever I'm at. No, you haven't. You've just taken a cigarette. You can then, you're then going to go to sleep for another 10 hours. So you've actually just started the whole pattern again. It's like, it's okay. It's okay to drop back if you don't mentally beat yourself up. Does that make sense?
It absolutely does. And you know what? You're reminding me of this really awesome example of that. This is many years ago. As a hypnotherapist, I've often worked with people with addictions, smoking being a really big one. But I worked with this guy. He was a high-powered executive. He was such a joy to work with. That we worked together for 3 months, I believe it was, and he was completely quit smoking. He actually had a lot of fun with the sessions. And it was probably about 6 months later he came back in to see me. And he didn't have a very good posture. He was kind of slumped down. He actually was taller than me. Deb knows how tall I am. This guy was taller than me. So here he was, rounded shoulders, and he looked so down. And basically the story was that he fell off the wagon, his words. Yeah. And here's what happened though. He had been thrown a surprise birthday party and drank a lot. They all were buying him shooters and his favorite drinks, and he ended up having a cigarette because that's just kind of, everybody else around him was smoking. Yep. And so here he was beating himself up incessantly because of how proud he was of what he'd done. And then to him, this one cigarette.
That's insane. I've got goofies all over. That's insane.
Isn't that amazing? And it's like, so my first part was to soothe him and say it was one cigarette, one night, one cigarette.
Yeah.
We can easily rewire this. But the biggest thing that I had to do with him was to help him forgive himself.
Yeah.
He was not choosing to become a smoker again. He just had a cigarette because it was this environment. And it actually made it really, really strengthened for him to the point where he actually ended up making a lot of other healthy choices, because it's almost like he got to see.
I was going to say he had the big kick enough to go,
Yeah.
you know what, there's other stuff I'm going to work on as well.
Exactly. And that's exactly what he did. And it was such a joy. So that one happened really quickly. We ended up working together for another 3 months. He actually and got referred almost everybody that worked in his office with me, because it's like, oh, you've got a problem there. Oh, you have to go and work with Moira. She can help you let go.
So when we say, so that's a perfect example, because it no longer served us. So back then, him having that cigarette took him to another level of awareness.
Yep.
To, I'm going to start looking at everything else. Now, if he hadn't have had that cigarette, he may not have, assumption, but he may not have actually dealt with it then, but it may have taken another year.
Absolutely.
Or 2 years or something like that, which could have caused, a lot of different stuff. But the beautiful of that, of what no longer served us, yes, the cigarette no longer served him, he got rid of it, but it actually served him that night, because it hit him up so much that he went, you know what, I'm cleaning everything out. I'm actually going 1 level, 2 levels, 3 levels higher than I've ever been.
Yep.
And so when we say it no longer served him, it no longer served him at the point when he first stopped, but he needed that extra, birthday celebration to get through, to go, you know what, I'm taking it up, because he may not have done that.
No, I completely agree. And it was just such a beautiful, beautiful example of that part. And it's when you were saying about beating yourself up, because this is another part that I often have in conversation with clients, is that, how who we are in this moment with this propensity or this way of being, and then let's say we look at a version of ourselves 5 years ago, 10 years ago, and we go, oh my God, what a loser. That was just a terrible thing to do.
Yeah, why did I do that to them, to me?
Exactly. So this is another huge piece that we all have to let go of. Because here's the thing. Remember I said, who are you becoming? Where's your vision of where you're developing into, stepping into? The truth is we're always doing that. And so each experience, every time we let go of a habit or a mindset or a belief, we become somebody new. But if the new version of us goes and looks back on our timeline and starts beating up that older version, then you just betrayed yourself.
Yeah.
Because who you were then is not who you are right here.
That word betrayed yourself is a real heavy one. That was like, I can feel that going on. but then you're actually right. There is no way you were that same person a week ago.
No.
And it depends on your sleep, your eating, your social influences, your surroundings, on how you react to things.
Yep.
Today than you were, a week ago. And
exactly.
And even just we spoke for 90 minutes before we went on this podcast. My rating of where I'd be a 0 to 10 was very different before we started talking to having that 90 minutes of talking.
Exactly.
So 90 minutes before I started this podcast, I was a different person.
Yep.
I'm still the same person, but my thought pattern and my emotional well-being was sitting differently.
Exactly. And I love how you just described that, because that says acknowledge that you're always doing the best you can with where you're at.
That's right.
So half an hour ago, before we came on the recording, my neighbor was playing really loud music.
That's right.
So if Deb asked me to rate myself right when that was happening, it might have been more like a 8.
8. I think she's being generous, people. Maybe a little bit more.
Maybe even.
Can you hear that? Did you hear that? What's he doing? Possibly a little bit more than an 8, but anyway.
Could have been a wee bit more than an 8. But so here's the thing. I can sit here and share that with you, but I'm not going to beat myself up. I go and take care of it. And here I am sitting calm, and
with
collected.
no
And
background music.
with no background music. No, the music is not happening anymore.
Yeah, definitely with no.
But it's like I said, it's to always acknowledge, because we all cohabitate, right?
Yeah.
And so something that's happening around us, we need to deal with it. We don't need a big story about it either, though.
No, and it's just about doing the best you can with what you have moving forward. I mean, I definitely know, like you know, your background, partners, businesses, houses, you know, everything you would do differently.
Mm-hmm.
And now, and we do often look back and go, oh, that was the most, you know, amazing relationship I had, and but you're living in fantasy because you're only seeing one side, and you're just going, I pined for that, I miss that, you know. But in reality, that wasn't the best relationship, because at the time you were wondering how to get out, etc., etc., or the best house or the job. And it's only when you move and you go to a shittier job that you just go, oh, that last job was most amazing, but it was the best you could get at that time, and you've moved to another one. But don't pine the past. Let it go, and just know that you are moving on, acknowledging, aware, taking on that, and letting go of all past experiences, but using them as a stepping stool.
But using the learning and the wisdom that you get from it as your step up, like it is how we get to step forward. But do you know, it's really funny that you say that, because so often people say, oh, I miss that. Oh, I miss that. Oh, I miss the good old times, or I miss this, or I miss that person. I have never been that way, because I don't. If we're
That's
in
your
relationship,
letting go.
yes.
That's your letting go, though. That's your letting go. You've really mastered that letting go of I acknowledge it. I loved it at the time. I didn't love it at the time. I've let it go. Like, that's a true master who can do that and sit there honorably and say that.
Well, thank you. But it takes presence of mind. So that does not diminish the intensity or the importance that each experience and each relationship has had for me. But I'm right here, right now, and I cherish what I have right here, right now.
And that's because you're sitting present and you're loving the space that you're in. And when I say loving your space, you may not be, but you're in gratitude for what you have right here, right now. And that's I think where we're at.
Absolutely. And so that's the key piece, is that letting go. And I like that you said about the letting go of the past, because nothing is in existence if you've already come through it.
Yeah.
It's done. You're here. It's about staying with this with a viewpoint of, I'm headed that way. And you know what? One more thing, because we're coming to the end of our conversation here today. You were talking about people pining over things that they had experienced, or that best job, or that relationship. I see that as people who are living their life with their head stuck, looking back over their shoulder, because they keep looking back there, wanting, kind of living back there, as opposed to, no, keep your head forward, eyes front, moving forward.
Focused on where you're going with your steps, because if you're looking behind and you're taking steps forward,
you can walk into a wall.
Scar on my forehead because I walked into a lamppost. Yeah. I clearly wasn't. I was young. I was probably 4, and I had a chunk out of my. In fact, that's another story. That's because my mum told me to turn around and look where you're going. We've all heard that saying, turn, and I was like,
absolutely.
I know more than you. I can do it my way. And then as I turned, and Mum gave me that look, and when Mum gave me the look, I responded, and I turned around and walked straight into a lamppost and split my head open.
So you had to let go of that one.
A scar. But that's exactly it. Turn around and look where you're going. Like, absolutely. That's exactly it. Turn around and look where you're going. Let go.
And letting go. So, dear listeners, we come to the end of our conversation. I hope this has served you. This has given you some insight into being aware of where are you headed, what do you want, what do you need to let go of. And so as we bring this to a close, dear Deb, on a scale of 0 to 10,
getting of what no longer serves us. I feel more alive. I feel more. So I'm going to say a 2. I'm not going to say a 1.5. A 1.5, 1.75.
Okay, Deb's at 1.75. I'm going to say 2. Okay. I love the whole letting go piece, and it always, to me, it always brings up just reflection. You know, I think that as long as we're living this life, there will always be things that we can bring up to our own awareness to say, thank you. It served that old version of me, but it's not serving who I'm becoming.
Yeah. I'm just going to add in here, Moira has some amazing cards that she will put at the end of our social media do-dally thing and just go, this is what they are. They're amazing little cards that can help you let go.
That's the letting go guidance system. That's my thing. Absolutely.
That's Moira the master let it goer.
Thank you, dear Deb. So, dear listeners, thank you. Thank you, Deb. Thank you, dear listeners. We'll probably come back and revisit this letting go because it's a huge, big area. I'm sure we can go and
I think we definitely can.
We can talk more on this one. All right, then. Take care. Bye-bye.